Alright, so tonight we're going to be going over a guide to healthy babies. A lot of this I speak from my experience as a mother and as a chiropractor, so there's not a whole lot of research in this one, like a lot of my workshops. Anyways, so a lot of it is pregnancy, heavily pregnancy, but then we'll get into some of infant issues that we see in practice in life. So the reason for this workshop is our infant mortality rates in the United States are awful, and they are currently triple Finland and Japan. So despite all of our medical efforts in birthing, childbirth, and babies, we're not doing so great compared to other countries. You can see the graph there. And then maternal mortality rates are actually on the rise in the U.S. So whereas a lot of countries here, you can see it going down, in the U.S., the maternity mortality rates are going up. So a lot of this data is skewed because we do have a lot of premature babies in the U.S. I mean, probably as opposed to some other countries. But the facts speak for themselves. We have to do better when it comes to pregnancy and delivery and infancy in the U.S. Because we have some work to do. So we'll go over pregnancy, labor and delivery, breastfeeding, and then postpartum briefly. Just as a warning, if you have had any traumatic experience when it comes to any of these topics, there may be certain triggers when we talk about breastfeeding or any of that. So just as a broad warning, I don't want anybody to get caught off guard and start getting upset. So we are talking about some of these things in more detail. So when you initially become pregnant, the first thing generally that you want to do is find a provider. And so when you're looking for a provider, it comes down to a lot of times, where do you want to deliver? Do you want to deliver in a hospital? Do you want to deliver in some places have these nice things called birth centers, and then there's home birth. As of right now, Alabama has legalized home birth, but we're still on the track to getting that certification so we can have home birth legally here. So when you choose a provider, if you kind of pick what kind of delivery do you want? Do you want in a hospital? What kind of setting do you want to deliver in? And that's important because that's going to kind of route you what kind of provider you want. So we have obstetricians, so those are obviously those are doctors, OBGYNs, so those are going to be hospital-based births, unless you have a cool setup like a birthing center where the OB goes into a birthing center, which some places have that. Then we have certified professional midwife. So if you know our local midwife, your colleague, that's what she is. She's a certified professional midwife, and her licensure is in a different state right now because we don't have that set up, but we will. And then you have a certified nurse midwife. So that is a nurse that's gone through all the training to be a midwife. So that's their title there. As of right now, I don't know that we have. Do we have a certified nurse midwife practicing in this area?
I think that they're solely out of the USA. I think there's two. They only work night shift. They only work like in the screening. We don't catch babies.
Okay, so you can't see them through your prenatal appointments and all that. So with Olivia, I was able to deliver with Cindy Messer. She's well known around here, and she's a certified nurse midwife, and she's fantastic. Unfortunately, she's tired. Maybe, and we'll get lucky and get some more great people. So when it comes to choosing a provider, generally speak, the midwives and OBs are going to have a different what they call model of care. My experience is with both. I've had OBs and I've had a nurse midwife and I've had a professional midwife. So this seems pretty accurate to me. A midwife is very patient-centered. With my midwife appointments, it was an hour long of just the midwife listening to me, speaking and listening to me, and we had a conversation. She measured, we weighed, we do all of that. We do figures and all of that, but it was a lot of her getting to know me and her getting to know us as a family and what we wanted out of our delivery. It was I very much felt like it was about me and not about what they wanted for me. It was about let me hear what you want. And they even had you write it down. So that's probably the biggest difference. When you go to an OB, you're very much pushed into this is the way we do things. Whether it fits you or not, this is protocol, this is standard, period. So with midwife, you do typically have more of a voice. I know there are great OBs, so I don't want to completely discredit them. We have a lot of great OBs here, and Dr. Lambrecht is one of them. You just want to choose somebody that's going to treat your birth and your experience as your own. It's your body, and you have a voice, and you should be heard. So this is kind of just breaks it down about how midwives view birth and how medical doctors view birth. And, I mean, there could be differences. There could be medical doctors that see birth more as a midwife, and hopefully so. So here is my home birth with Selah. Just to give a background, with Noah, the after pains, y'all, the after pains are real. Number 3 is not fun. But just to give you a background of my experience with my 3, Noah was born as a C-section. So I had him at Providence Hospital. He was what they call IUGR, or growth restriction. So he had, as full term, he was 3 pounds, 10 ounces. So he was born at 37 weeks. Full term baby, but he was very tiny. He had a big old head, tiny little body. And my experience with my OB was there was nothing you could do about it. You just got a small baby, your placenta's not working, and period, that was it. I was like, well, can I take something? Can I eat better? He was like, no, there's nothing you can do about it. So anyways, he was born. We did get induced, so I did try for natural labor. He was induced, and then later was having heart rate reductions and all of that. That happens with induction sometimes. And so he ended up being born by C-section. So Noah was 4 months old, and I got pregnant with Olivia. And I knew immediately that I wanted a VBAC. I had already researched, I already knew I wanted that. A VBAC is a vaginal birth after cesarean, just to clarify. So my very first OB appointment, I went back to the same OB, and I said, I'm 6 weeks pregnant. And I was like, I want a VBAC. And he said, absolutely not. Didn't even give me a choice, didn't even give me an option. He said, no, Olivia, we're too close in age and it would be too big of a risk. It's like, bye. I knew I had options. Cindy Messer was in practice at the time, and I had already heard about her. So I made an appointment with her, and she agreed to do a VBAC with me. So with Olivia, I delivered her. Again, she had the same type of growth problem. She was a little bit bigger. She was 5 pounds when we induced at 36 weeks. They said I had low fluid, which again, I could have tried to increase my fluids. I could have worked on it, but they induced me for low fluids at 36 weeks. She was born VBAC, but I had all the interventions. So I had the Pitocin to induce me. I had the epidural, and it was just a miracle that I was able to have her as a VBAC. And I have no complaints about birth there. I mean, it was exactly what I wanted. I wanted more of natural labor, but I was just thankful that she wasn't a C-section again. So I have nothing more to say about Cindy or what happened with that, but I just knew that that's not exactly how I wanted things to go. And so when we got pregnant with Selah, we were living in Georgia at the time, so I was going to chiropractic school. And in Georgia, the laws are a little bit more lenient for home birth. They are, for the midwife, to have a home birth in Georgia is a misdemeanor, whereas in Alabama at the time, it was a felony. So in Georgia, midwives do practice, but they practice a little bit under the radar. If you transport, they're not necessarily going to follow you to the hospital because they could get in trouble. So anyways, I found an amazing midwife. She's not any of those pictures, but I found amazing 2 midwives in Georgia and was able to have Selah at home. And by far my favorite experience of the 3. It was a long, hard labor. Sometimes number 3 is a shorter labor, but with her, it was only my second vaginal delivery, so I had her after, it was probably, I called midwife at 4 a.m. and she wasn't born until 12 or so the next day. So it was a very long labor, but it was worth it, and definitely my favorite by far. So I've had a little bit of everything.
Issues with your life?
Oh, Good question. I'm glad you pointed that out. So with the midwife at 37 weeks, she was only 4 pounds. And she was like, Kelly, I've been telling you to eat protein and you're not listening. And I'm hard-headed, I'm sorry. So anyways, at 37 weeks, she was only 4 pounds. And midwives are amazing. She knew this just by touching my belly. She was like, she's too small. We can't have home birth if she's this little. If I were to go into labor at 37 weeks, she was like, you can't have home birth. And so I was crushed. So I started, and that was actually confirmed by ultrasound. They confirmed the weight by ultrasound. So I guess I didn't trust her, but midwives are amazing. Anyway, so I started tracking my protein religiously because she put the power in my hands. She put my health and my pregnancy and my birth was mine. And instead of saying, no, there's nothing you can do, she's just little, she was like, I've been telling you, you need protein, your babies are small. So I upped my protein 100 grams a day, which is not easy, by the way, especially if you don't eat a lot of meat. But I did it. I ate a lot of protein shakes and eggs and everything I could. And she was born at 6 pounds. So she was a week over. She was 41 weeks, but from 37 to 41 weeks, I put on 2 pounds. So it just goes to show that there are things that you can do when you take your health in your own hands, and when nutrition and supplementation, and it just goes to show how important it is, and it can change the outcome. Had I listened to an OB, they might have said the protein won't make a difference, when clearly it did. She was the biggest.
To go over with all these babies.
Yeah, and that's likely too. So she chose her birthday, and she was the only one of the 3 that chose her birthday. So that's just a little background. So, speaking of birthdays, due dates. So with a due date, that's basically an estimation. 5% of babies are born actually on their due dates. It's thought that when a baby's lungs are finished developing, it plays a role in signaling the start of labor. So that's just goes to show that why babies that are taken too early can have breathing issues. They weren't quite developed. Olivia was born at 36 weeks, and she was fine. Baby just never know. Your due date is calculated by adding 280 days to the first day of your last menstrual cycle, assuming a normal 28-day cycle, which we may not all have a normal 28-day cycle. So you're actually considered 2 weeks pregnant at conception, which is always interesting to me. So the moment you conceive, you're actually called 2 weeks pregnant. In reality, healthy babies are born anywhere from 37 to 42 weeks. Aside from certain situations, it's usually best to let a baby pick his or her birthday. And there's obviously good reasons to induce, and life-saving reasons to induce. I'm not completely against it. It can definitely be very helpful at times. So we'll start with supplementation. Pregnancy supplementation. This isn't a whole lot different than what I would recommend normally to any woman. Folate is the natural form of folic acid. Protein, in my experience, protein was key. A multivitamin, DHA for the baby's brain, red raspberry leaf tea. This is what my midwife had me take as a tincture, and it's supposed to help the uterus stay straight. Not positive, but that's what I was instructed to take. And it was like a little tincture I dropped in my water. Alfalfa and minerals. And I'm not entirely sure what they recommend alfalfa for, but I took that as well. Pregnancy and ultrasound. So some midwives recommend that you don't get any ultrasound at all. I personally think it's smart to at least get one. A 20-week anatomy scan, so if there are any issues, you know about them. If there's any sort of heart defect, then you're prepared and you can, in my case, I had one at 20 weeks with Sayla, and if she had some sort of heart defect, then I would have a home birth. I would have known ahead of time. It could have been detrimental, actually, to not know that. So I think it's a good idea to at least have one. I think aside from the one anatomy scan, there is such thing as too many ultrasounds. But like I said, I think it's a good idea to at least do one. Exercise during pregnancy. So this is IMA. They ran out in research to back that up, but she says it, I believe it. 300 times a day, and you're going to give birth quickly. But
I don't need to squat now.
yeah, I mean, if you're going to give birth quickly, then yeah, I don't know. I mean, you could squat 600 times a day and labor for 24 hours. I don't know. But she's a brilliant advice, so I trust her word. So you want to stay active to prepare for labor. I hate when OBs and professionals in general tell women to not exercise during pregnancy. You're not broken. You're just pregnant, and you do need to be careful. You want to be aware of loose relaxed ligaments because you do have a lot of relaxin in your body that are making your ligaments a lot looser than typical. And you will have a center of shift in your center of gravity, so that can make your balance a little bit off too. That's why they tell you not to wear heels while you're pregnant, because that can shift everything around. So you are, with the ligaments that are loose and the center of gravity, you can be more prone to injury if you're doing like CrossFit or something crazy. You just want to be careful because of those things. So obviously, I'm going to mention chiropractic care during pregnancy. I love treating pregnant women, and it can help a lot of different things. So in general, it helps with your joint pain, relieves pain around the spine and the hips. It helps with sleep, helps with optimal fetal positioning. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Webster, so there's a technique that chiropractors can do that helps the sacrum and around ligaments and can help baby get into the right position for labor. It can reduce labor time and helps with general pain and discomfort related to pregnancy. I had headaches during pregnancy and heartburn. All of that can be alleviated somewhat by chiropractic care, and it helps with low back and sciatic pain. I have a lot of pregnant patients that have sciatic type pain. So we use our handy pregnancy pillows, put them face down and check sacrum, and it can help a lot of patients see good results with that especially. So the glucose tolerance screen. This is done later on in pregnancy, usually around 26 weeks. They're basically testing your blood insulin level after you drink a glucose drink. I don't know, my midwife didn't do this with Selah, but it's usually standard with obstetricians. So glucose testing is done around 26 weeks. Blood will be drawn after an hour. You can opt out. Generally speaking, I think if you do have gestational diabetes, you're gonna kind of know you're gonna not feel great. You're gonna feel your blood sugar get kind of wonky. I have heard you can use jelly beans or fruit instead of the drink, just to avoid the ingredients in the drink. Has anybody tried using alternative things? They say
We tested and it was obvious.
with your blood sugar. So that's another thing I read, that instead of even doing the drink, if you periodically test your blood sugar throughout the day and it's high, chances are you have gestational diabetes. But they do say I read organic juice you can take instead of this, but organic juice is fructose and not glucose, so I'm not sure if that really translates well. But it's not completely successful at detecting gestational diabetes. It can miss it and it can misdiagnose, because I had a patient that was like 1 point away from being normal, or 1 point away into normal. So right, it's numbers. You can be on an edge and not really know which way you go. There's an article on mommypotamus.com, and she goes over the glucose testing in a lot of detail. But you can opt out. Oh, I forgot that twice. Can I talk twice? Anyway, moving along. Cervical checks. Cervical checks are routinely done later in pregnancy, starting around 36 weeks. This is another thing that's kind of like, it's the norm and it's the protocol, but I don't know why. It's like you can get your cervix checked at 36 weeks and be 3 centimeters, and it means nothing. You can be in labor for the next, or you can be pregnant for the next couple weeks, and it doesn't mean that you're about to go in labor. So they're not necessary. There really is no benefit. You can if you feel like you're in labor at your appointments. You just say, hey, you have my dilated. It can be painful. It's like I said, it's not a prediction of impending labor. and it can introduce bacteria into the birth canal unnecessarily. And it can prematurely rupture membranes. And I think I've read that OBs sometimes strip the membranes intentionally when they do cervical checks. I think when it says, the research says it can prematurely rupture membranes, I think that's when the membranes were stripped at the point of the cervical check. The evidencebased.birth.com has a good video on this, and she just goes over some of the research of why you should do it, why you shouldn't do it, what the research says about the membrane stripping and all of that. So this is a good visual of what they're checking for when you're checking for cervical dilation or effacement, and then there's a visual on the sizes of centimeters. So you're pregnant, you want to avoid toxins as best that you can. We are bombarded with a lot of toxins in our environment. So the more that you can avoid intentionally, the better off you're going to be. Avoid alcohol and smoking. You would think that would be a given, but I've met people that they said, oh, my OB told me it would be more stressful on my body and my baby if I quit right now. So it should go without saying that you don't want to smoke or drink while you're pregnant. Eat organic as much as possible, and that will limit your pesticide exposure and your genetically modified ingredient organism exposure. If you're on medication and you find out you're pregnant, contact your doctor to make sure it's compatible with pregnancy if you want to keep taking it. But there are medications, obviously, that you don't want to take while you're pregnant. Stress can be toxic. Limit stress and get adequate sleep. Easier said than done. You want to evaluate your household cleaners. So if you're using toxic household cleaners while you're pregnant, reevaluate and maybe move to something more natural while you're pregnant, like vinegar, lemon, and natural essential oils and things like that. If you have a cat, you're advised to not handle litter. I found out when I got a cat and then I got pregnant with Noah. They're like, you can't do that anymore. And so we had to get rid of the cat because Justin was like, well, I'm not pregnant. So we found it difficult. So this just goes over how many toxic chemicals are found in the umbilical cord. So like I said, we're bombarded with a lot of toxins in our environment, so it's best to limit what you do have control over.
Do you have like specific protocols for detoxification that you do or that you did when you were pregnant?
Yeah, because I don't know that there are safe detoxes while you're pregnant.
Okay.
You usually want to do that after, and I don't even know that you can do a safe detox while you're nursing either. So normally just hydrate and eat well, eat enough. So I don't know that would have a detox protocol. Alright, so here are some common discomforts that I may have had or I see in practice, and kind of a couple of things that you can do about it. Heartburn, I prefer you to avoid Tums. Try one apple. I know it's miserable, but try papaya enzymes and some other things. Anybody else know of something that works great?
I've heard apple cider vinegar, which seems so strange.
Yeah.
But I've heard that it will just knock it out.
I can't stomach it though. I
Yeah,
can't
it's
stand
not
the smell. But
Yeah, chug it.
Big shot.
But I think I've heard baking soda as well. Can you take like a shot of baking soda? Milk. Yeah. Milk. So I would prefer you try these other things before you go to Tums, because Tums do have a lot of ingredients that I'm not comfortable with. General aches and pains, of course, chiropractic care, Epsom salt baths, cat-cow stretches. I teach a lot of our pregnant patients those. Prenatal massage, yoga, and kinesiology tape. I love kinesiology tape for people in general, but especially pregnant patients. Hemorrhoids, chiropractic care can sometimes help. Horse chestnut, there's a supplement called Cyruta Plus that Standard Process makes. And then I read today about the apple cider vinegar cotton ball. Doesn't sound pleasant at all, but apparently it works. It can help. Constipation, definitely another one that pregnant women face. Chiropractic care potentially can help with that. High fiber diet, coconut oil, and magnesium. Carpal tunnel. I don't understand why this even happens in pregnancy, but I've had patients have this. Wrist adjustments, kinesiology tape in the wrist area. B vitamins, stretches, and exercises, so you can stretch and strengthen the wrist and help with that. So, preparation for labor and delivery. You want to make sure you have chosen the right provider for your new baby, somebody that you're comfortable with, that really listens and hears you out and understands that labor and delivery and pregnancy it's your body and your choice. Consider hiring a doula. I have not had a doula with any of my pregnancies, so I can't speak from experience, but I do know a lot of people that absolutely love their doula and had a wonderful experience. So definitely looking at hiring a doula. Have a birth plan in writing. Consider natural labor with limited intervention, but ultimately you're in charge of your labor. Like I said with Sayla or with Olivia, I had an epidural and I had the induction, and it was still a pretty good experience. I had the epidural gave me a horrible headache, and it does have risks involved. So know the risks of the intervention, but ultimately it's your choice. If you want to opt for a C-section, great. Know the risks and know exactly what's involved, but ultimately it's your body. I'm not gonna say natural labor for every single person. So definitely have a birth plan in writing. Consider natural labor, and if you're planning on having a natural birth, whether it's in the hospital or at home, Ina May is a great midwife. I've always spoken about her, but she writes a book that's called Ina May's Guide to Childbirth that I enjoyed. She writes other ones, but that's the only one I read. And you can read and watch other moms' birth stories. I did that a lot when I was pregnant. I would get on YouTube and look at being born, read about babies being born, and it was just awesome to know how many other women have done it, and they can do it, I can do it. Has anybody seen The Business of Being Born? So that was one of the first birth-related documentaries I ever watched and completely changed my perspective on birth. It's on YouTube. I looked on Netflix. It's not on Netflix anymore. But it's called The Business of Being Born, and it just talks about the history of birth and how midwives 100 years ago primarily birthed babies and how OBs have kind of taken over that role and why, and it goes over home birth. So it has a lot of good information about interventions and how the Pitocin and the epidurals are against each other. And so it's helpful to kind of know the risks there. You can dive more into that. So definitely watch that. And birth classes are great if you think you need help preparing for labor. A lot of times your doula will offer a birth class, if I'm not mistaken. So you can do both of those. Yes, Ina. Yeah, so touched on this briefly.
Do you mind me asking a question? I don't know if you want to wait till the end or.
If you want to jot down, we can just kind of go over all the questions at the end.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, I'll wait.
Just don't forget them. So we touched on this a little bit with when I was talking about Olivia. A VBAC stands for vaginal birth after cesarean. As in my experience, a lot of OBGYNs refuse to do them, so you have to search out a different provider. But once C-section is not always C-section. There are cases where you're at higher risk to do a VBAC, so you may want to opt for a second C-section, but ultimately it's your choice, know your risks. Either one that makes that choice and find a provider that supports that. Research the risk and empower yourself. When I looked up the risk of rupture, so typically doctors cite with the risk of rupture is the reason you don't want to do a VBAC. When I looked it up, it was like 1%. So I was like, I'll take that risk and try to do a VBAC. So you want to choose a provider that will let you VBAC or HBAC if your risks are minimal. HBAC is home birth after cesarean. Lots of abbreviations. So here's 5 steps. And chiropractic care can definitely help with VBACs as well, so you know that you're in a good position ready for labor. Labor and delivery research topics. So a lot of these we might not get into heavily, but they're definitely worth mentioning and they're worth looking up. Delayed cord clamping is typically done with a midwife, but in a hospital setting, the baby's born and they cut the cord immediately. Generally speaking, in a healthy baby, healthy delivery, you want to wait until the cord stops pulsing until you cut it, and that way the baby gets all of the blood from the placenta. I think I read 1/3 of a baby's blood can be in the placenta at any given time. So it's a good idea. Most of the time there are exceptions, but it's a good idea to let that blood finish pulsing and get into the baby. It's their blood. Definitely research the risks of intervention, like Pitocin induction, epidural, etc. If you're coming out with your birth plan and they include any of these interventions, just know your risk. True informed consent is that when you have a procedure or certain medication, you know all the risks, and in the setting of birth, you may not have time to go through all of these things with your doctor. If you're in a setting where you're in labor, I'm not sure the doctor is going to go over, well, if you get an epidural, here are the risks. I mean, you're in labor, you're not going to have time. So do your research beforehand, do your research, you have 9 months of pregnancy. Group B strep. So group B strep is usually tested in pregnancy. And if you're positive, they'll put you on a round of antibiotics, I believe, at birth. Episiotomies, I'm kind of passionate about these because a lot of times they're not necessary and they can have a lot of lasting horrible effects on the mother. And later down the road, I mean, the OB's, he's moved on with his life. Years later, moms can still have issues from episiotomies. And it's really sad when you have fecal incontinence because you were cut so deep. So definitely know your risks. Speak with your OB about it, because if you don't speak openly about it, they might assume that you're okay with it, and then before you know it, you've had this done and you're not okay with it. A lot of times in labor, in certain women you don't tear, but if you tear, it's generally easier to heal, and you can still be stitched up. They do them, I guess, for speed of getting the baby out, and then if you are cut, then it's easier to stitch. But my personal opinion is if you're going to tear, let your body tear. They do have like the perineal massage that you can do while you're pushing and try to prevent that. There are things you can do to prevent tearing, but like I said, I would rather tear than be cut, personally. So know your risks on that, and definitely speak with your provider. And then consider laboring at home initially instead of rushing off to the hospital. A lot of times women go into labor and they're like, I gotta get to the hospital. If I'm having a home birth or if I'm having a hospital birth, but I want a natural hospital birth, I would consider definitely laboring at home for as long as you can. And then when, things are progressing, try to go to the hospital. Sometimes you might not make it, but it's definitely a more comfortable setting to be at home, because when you get to the hospital, you're going to start hooking you up to all these things, and it's going to stress you out, and sometimes it can stall labor because you're the stress of being hooked up to the IV and all of that. So consider laboring at home. Like I said, it's your decision. So unconventional thoughts for laboring moms. So a lot of this is going to be a little bit contradictory to what is typically practiced, but these are things that I'm pretty passionate about. So you want to move around during labor, walk, bounce on the ball, get in one bath, find the best way to tolerate each contraction. So in the hospital, you're kind of bound to a bed a lot of times, and that's uncomfortable. So you want to, well, that's another reason you want to stay home as long as you can, so you can walk around. So there's different positions here. If you have a doula, they have lots of ideas that they can work with you to help tolerate your contractions. Delivering laying on your back, you're working against gravity, so you want to try other positions that use gravity. A lot of women gravitate towards their hands and knees during labor, and I think it's just instinct. Did anybody have issues with delivering in a different position in the hospital? Or are they kind of open to letting you?
The nurses, I was on my hands and knees, and they were like, "You can't do that at our
So let her do it. And I've heard a lot of people that are bound to their back. And generally, to me, a laboring mom is the goddess. You do what she says. Like, she's delivering, she's going through one of the most important moments of her life. You do it. You let her do what she needs to do. So try other positions, eat and drink. You're laboring. Keyword labor. Your body needs energy sources and hydration. So another thing that bothers me about hospital births typically is they don't let you eat. I guess they have you on IV, so you're getting hydrated, but definitely not. I mean, I've heard people speaking in snacks in the hospital and eating when they're not supposed to. But with home birth, I was able to eat. I was able to eat throughout my labor, and it's important. You're using a lot of energy going through labor, so you want to refuel that energy for sure. Low tone moans. So what this is basically, IMA talks about, it is a lifesaver. IMA talks about letting your monkey do it in her book. So you go into primal mode and you let your body take over. And sometimes when it takes over, you start having these low tones. And just go with it. It works. But there's a reason for that. I mean, when you're in that experience, you're in a mental place that's not quite all there. You're trying to take yourself elsewhere. And so it kind of makes sense. You just let your monkey do it. You use the support around you. So if you have a doula, if you have your friends there, use them. I mean, if you need a hand, if you need counter pressure, if you need a drink of water, if you need ice, use the people around you that's there. They're there to help. I had my best friend during labor go get me, I think it was bananas. I had to find one of bananas during labor. So definitely use the people that want to help. Mentally stay on top of contractions. Let your body do the work, but don't let your mind take over and get overwhelmed. Try to relax in each contraction, let the pain do its work, and think about the pain reward. So with labor, the one good thing about all of the pain is that at the end you get to meet your baby. So with each contraction, you know that you're getting closer to meeting your baby. So that helps get through each one. Like I said, each contraction brings you one step closer. So postpartum, so there's a lot of topics postpartum. Initially, rest. I say this a lot, but you want to rest. Your body just went through labor, and it went through a lot, even with a natural delivery, with no interventions. You have home birth, you need to rest. There's a saying that's like 1 day, 24 hours in the bed, 2 weeks around the bed, and then 2 weeks around the house, or something like that. But my midwife, when I had to stay at home, she said, do not get out of bed for 24 hours. Don't do it. You lay here and you rest. And then she said, don't leave the house for 7 days. She's like, 7 days, you're at home, you're resting. And I think that's one thing our culture does wrong with postpartum women is we're expected to just jump right back into motherhood if we have other little ones. But this is such a sacred time when you give birth to a new baby, and you need to take that time for yourself, take that time for your new baby, and just rest. The golden hour. So this is the hour after delivery. So once the baby's here, you have what's called the golden hour. It's a crucial time for mom and baby to bond. So you want to turn the lights down and get distraction away and just have that solid hour to establish a nursing relationship, to establish the mother-child bond. And it's so overlooked in our society because what do they do immediately when you give birth? They take the baby over to get weighed, and they're doing the measurements, and they're weighing them, and they're wiping them down with all the stuff, and putting the goo in their eyes. And so with Noah, I had no golden hour because I had a C-section. He was gone. And people will take for granted how much that affects mothers. To this day, he's almost 10, and I still have scars from that delivery. But what matters is the healthy baby, right? I mean, you can't take for granted that hour with mom and baby. Very important time. So you want to delay the baby's first bath. And a lot of this comes down to, one, the golden hour, and two, all of the vernix have a purpose. It's there for a reason. I actually rubbed it in my babies. I was like taking it like lotion. So you don't want to rush them off and get that. You want to rush them away and get it washed off initially. You can delay the first bath for several days up to a week. Skin to skin contact. So this is extremely important initially for mom and baby. Undress the baby, your top, and just get baby skin to skin. And it has profound effects emotionally and psychologically on mom and baby. It sounds so simple, but it's really profound. Jaundice is something that comes up a lot. So there's a lot behind jaundice, but generally speaking, you have physiological jaundice and you have pathological jaundice. So most babies are going to have a touch of jaundice. Just as mom's milk comes in and things start getting flushed out, most babies have it around, it peaks at like day 3. So the advice typically is to just keep nursing on demand and get baby in the sunlight. Sometimes there's other interventions that need to happen, but generally speaking, jaundice is not an issue or anything that needs to be heavily addressed because it is normal, and babies after getting milk and all that. Postpartum depression. So it's definitely real. Baby blues are definitely real. So if you have any sort of issues with that, know who to speak to, find the right provider, find the right person to help you. I think as moms, we try to do everything ourselves, and we try to be superwoman. We try to be everything to everyone. Enough of that. If you are having issues, get the right help for yourself. Chiropractic care for mom and new baby. So I love adjusting pregnant women, but I love adjusting postpartum moms. Like, I love it because they just came out of having a baby, and one, your body just went through all of that, and then two, beginning nursing is it's painful. Your neck is aching, your shoulders are aching, you're co-sleeping with a new baby like this, and so you're just hurting. So I love taking care of those postpartum moms a lot. So co-sleeping, there's a lot of controversy with co-sleeping. I'm a big fan as long as it's done right. It's natural to want your baby close to you, and it's natural for your baby to want to be close to you. I mean, if you try to put them down and they cry because they've been in your belly for 9 months, you're like, where's mom? So I'm a big fan of co-sleeping. Obviously, you don't want to co-sleep incorrectly or unsafely, but done right, I think it's best. And selfishly, I get more sleep when I co-sleep. I mean, now my kids are older, so they don't sleep in our bed anymore. But initially, with establishing nursing, it's just so much easier to sleep. Hair loss. A lot of times people don't tell you that you're going to lose a lot of hair after you have a baby. It comes out in clumps in the shower. So definitely expect that. Diastasis recti. That's basically when your abdominal muscles have split right down the middle. You can feel a little space there. Kinesiology tape can help with that. You can help tape them back in, and then there's certain exercises you can do. But definitely look out for that as you're recovering in your postpartum period down the road. Look out for the diastasis recti. After pain, I mentioned this earlier. I feel like I didn't get a warning. There's number 1, number 2, and 3, and it gets worse and worse in each delivery. But they're definitely right up there with labor to me, especially with number 3. It was not fun. And then they also don't tell you that after pains come on while you're nursing. And so you're trying to establish this beautiful nursing relationship, and as soon as you latch baby, you're like, oh my God. So, I mean, my midwife had after pains tonic that she would give us. I'm not sure exactly what was in it. It didn't seem right for me. I had a friend that took it, it helped. But be prepared if you want something on hand like the after pain tonic, or if you want something on hand after delivery to help with that, be prepared. You could possibly do like a hot pack or something. Be prepared so it doesn't catch you off guard. Belly binding, I'm a huge fan of belly binding. I prefer it be done initially right after birth. So basically buy what's called a belly binder. I know some midwives are real fancy and they have like a big long thing and they're like tying big knots and stuff. I don't know how to do all that. But you can buy a belly binder at Babies R Us, and it's like this stretchy material. And my midwife had me lay down and it was like, it's tight and it's not comfortable, but it helps to squeeze everything back into place as your uterus. I mean, your baby had just been born, but your uterus is still the size it was. So everything has to take time to shrink back down, and the belly binder can help with that. And it does help with the after pains a little bit. A peri bottle with lavender and water to rinse after the bathroom. I'm not sure if they still do this at hospitals, so they give you a little peri bottle to go home with. That was my saving grace. That was a couple drops of lavender in the peri bottle. Very helpful after delivery. All right, so here are the things that they don't tell you. I'm going to be the one to warn you. Your belly will most likely still look pregnant after you give birth. I don't know why. I guess I expected to give birth in a belly, but Just like that. You look about 6 months pregnant, generally speaking, after you have a baby. That caught me off guard. Breastfeeding is natural, but it's challenging initially. It's not easy. You expect it to be this easy thing because it is so natural, but there's a lot of challenges women face and babies face. So definitely can be challenging, so expect that. Already mentioned your hair falling out. And you will bleed. In the hospital, they give you a nice giant diaper to wear because you're going to have bleeding after delivery. You might have incontinence after delivery. So as things are shrinking back down into place and your pelvic floor is starting to strengthen again, you might have incontinence. Your first poop after delivery is terrifying. I don't know why, it's terrifying. C-section, I thought it was terrifying because my abdominal wall was just cut open. But then I found out later on with Libby and Sayla, it's still terrifying after a vaginal delivery. I don't know why, but it is. You're warned. Even with a normal vaginal delivery, will be sore and need a peri-rinse bottle. Use it, and ice can help with the pain and swelling. But if you're resting, like I say to rest, you will recover faster. With each subsequent delivery, after pains get worse. Talk about that a little bit. Even with a great latch, your nipples will hurt initially. I heard in my experience, it was like 2 weeks, and it was painful. After that, things were smooth sailing. But they tell you, I've heard people say that if the latch is good, your nipples won't be sore. That's not true in my experience. Olivia and Noah had a pretty decent latch, and it's still, your nipples have to accommodate to your baby eating from them. So they're going to be tender. They're going to be tender. Mom guilt is so real. Give yourself grace. We're not perfect. Nobody said we're supposed to be perfect. We're not superwomen. We try to be, we need to use the people around us. Absolutely get a belly binder and have it ready prior to delivery. And cravings and hunger while nursing are usually worse than pregnancy. So be prepared for that. I craved so much more while I was nursing. So breastfeeding, the AAP recommends that you exclusively breastfeed for 6 months and then continue nursing a year or more after the addition of solids. That's my favorite meme. I'll wait over here. So if you plan on breastfeeding, it's recommended that you nurse at least for 6 months, just breastfeeding. Helpful tools to breastfeed. So there's an overall theme with my workshop, and that's finding the right professional to help you. That's what they're there for. That's what their experience is in. So if you're planning on breastfeeding, you want to have access to a trusted professional. I'm not sure who that would be in our area. These other moms can help out there. You want to find a lactation consultant to have on hand after delivery. You're going to say Stephanie Gable.
It's a little drive away, but there's nobody in Mobile that's educated enough in what we need.
I don't remember who helped me with Noah, but I pumped exclusively for Noah for 4 weeks because he was so little. And we had that whole first day, they kept him in an isolette to keep him warm. Had I done research, I would have known that he could have stayed on my skin. I would have kept him warm just fine. But it was literally like a whole day without him because he was just as healthy as he could be. He was laying in there to keep him warm. But anyways, because of that, we didn't have the best breastfeeding start. So I pumped for him for 4 weeks and then finally got him latched and nursing better. But I did see a lactation consultant locally that did a before and after weight check, and that was comforting to know that he was actually efficiently nursing. They weighed him before, he nursed they weighed him after, and he had gained a couple ounces. So it has to be a sensitive scale. Definitely have somebody on hand that can help. Breast pads, cotton or disposable, because initially you're going to leak. You're going to leak a lot, generally. Lanolin or something similar. Does anybody know an alternative for lanolin? Coconut oil.
Or breast milk. Just breast milk. Squeeze the breast milk and let it dry.
Nursing tanks and nursing bras for sure. I basically lived in a nursing tank while I was nursing. A good breast pump and a manual pump. And go to your local elected meetings because there's other moms there that are nurse and the leaders, obviously. Definitely get a good pump. Breastfeeding related topics. So here are basically generally the size of baby's stomach as they grow. So day one, that's not a lot of milk that they're going to be drinking. I think current research says that this isn't exactly accurate, but it's close. You're the pump, especially, and you're getting a couple ounces, and you're like, oh, that's not enough. Look at this picture, and you kind of see where you should be. Sore nipples, talked about that already. Nursing on demand. So the first few days, you're not going to want to put your baby on schedule. You're not going to be like, oh, it's only been an hour. Why is this baby acting hungry again? You nurse as baby wants to. It doesn't matter if it's been 2 minutes or 2 hours. You nurse on demand, and that's going to help stimulate milk production. That's going to help bring your milk in. So if you see the baby starting to root and starting to fuss, go ahead and put baby to rest, and that helps get your milk in, helps establish that relationship. Growth spurts. So generally, I think it starts. There's a breakdown online that kind of gives you an idea of when growth spurts happen. So during a growth spurt, the baby's going to want to nurse a lot more. You're going to see that your milk production is going to go up because of it. And you're like exhausted because the baby's wanting to nurse all the time. But be prepared because babies are going to grow and they're going to go through growth spurts and they're going to nurse a lot more than normal. Hand expressing. So I was advised from a lactation consultant that moms know how to hand express, and that helps if the baby's having issues nursing, then you can hand express, put them in a syringe or a spoon, and help baby feed like that while you're working on that relationship with that nursing. Tongue tie. Sayla had a tongue tie, and I didn't know initially, and she had a rough start. I had no idea what a tongue tie was, really. I wasn't educated in that, and I just knew that I kept getting mastitis, I kept getting clogged ducts. I thought she was nursing efficiently, but I was not feeling good. So we had her tongue tie revised, and it got a lot better. But they seem to be more common lately, so that's one thing you definitely want to look for in a new baby is to see if they do have a tongue tie. If there is a tongue tie, whether you have it revised or not, that's your decision. For us, that was the best choice for me to continue to be able to nurse her. So with tongue ties or with breastfeeding in general, you can have clogged ducts and you can have mastitis. That's a whole workshop in itself. Mastitis is the worst I've felt in my whole life. So be prepared if you have a clogged duct and baby's not efficiently nursing. It can lead to what's called mastitis and you feel like you are in bad. So definitely get the breastfeeding help you need. And that's why it's good to have a pump on hand, and two, know how to hand express. So if you are having clogged ducts, then you know how to work it out. Cluster feeding. So that's basically when baby is feeding a lot more than normal in the cluster. Be prepared for that. Breast size does not matter for milk production. I hear this a lot. People think that because they're small chested, they're not going to be able to produce enough milk. Generally speaking, it's not true. Breast size does not indicate how much milk you're making. First, teeth and breastfeeding. I also hear a lot that once baby has teeth, you need to wean them. But it's not true at all. Your baby was born with teeth, right?
My first.
Yeah. So I mean, if you go by that rule, she would never have breastfed. So generally, kids and babies get their first teeth around 6 months. I think you should nurse to a year. I mean, personally, that's what my goal was. So if you get their first teeth at 6 months, then you're stop breastfeeding and you're not reaching that goal. My kids didn't get teeth till like a little bit so normal weight gain. Infants will generally lose about 10% of their body weight after delivery. Sometimes it can be more depending on if mom had IV fluids during labor or anything like that. But then once they lose that 10% or so, you do want to see them start gaining it back. So this is just a general guideline of how much they should gain. So day 4 to 4 months, about 7 to 8 ounces a week. So those first few pediatric checks are a lot for weight gain to make sure they're on the right track with eating. So a lot of times we talk about poop as mom. So generally speaking, the very first poop is going to be black. It's like a meconium or it looks like tar. You can have more than one. I thought for some reason it would just be one big black diaper and then be it. No, it happens over and over. Then after that, if baby is breastfed, it's going to be a mustard, seedy looking poop, and that's what's normal for breastfed babies. Kind of smells like yogurt. For formula-fed babies, it's like a greenish brown color. If there's any sort of blood, mucus, or if it's frothy, that could be abnormal. But Google has a lot of great information. So if you're unsure, definitely seek out help and make sure it's in the range of normal. So here are a couple topics that I'm not going to cover in depth, but I highly suggest you do your research. And Dr. Mike does cover some of these in his Raising Healthy Kids from Conception. He covers circumcision and vaccines a little bit more heavily. But these are really important topics. We just don't have time to go over them all tonight. The eye ointment that they do after delivery, I know some parents opt out of that. There's research on both sides, so just do your research. Vaccines, 100% do your research on that. Circumcision, vitamin K injection, delayed cold cranking. We talked a little bit about that. Cloth diapers, attachment parenting. So attachment parenting is just parenting kind of like it sounds, attached. So you listen to baby's cues and try to be there for them as much as possible. Crying it out, that's what that stands for, sorry. Crying it out as a CIO. So I get a little frustrated when moms try to put babies on a sleep schedule right off the bat, and they start crying it out. Personal preference, I'm not judging anybody, I would never judge anybody, but in the first few months of life, if the baby's crying, it's for a reason. Don't, for the sake of their sleep schedule, go put them in a dark room and leave them there to cry so they get a good sleep routine made. To me, the baby's crying for a reason. They're crying because they need you, they need something, they need comfort, they need touch, and I think we need to address it. Fever in infants and children, Dr. Mike covers this a lot. Fever is a lot of times normal and doesn't need to be addressed, and he covers that a lot in his workshop, so we won't touch on it too much. Toxin-free baby. So we talk a lot about toxins in pregnancy. Once baby's born, it doesn't end there. You want to look for clean, toxic-free products, including diapers, diaper creams, lotions, and soaps. So everything that's on baby's skin is being absorbed into the bloodstream. So research the topical things that you're putting on their skin. Johnson & Johnson, I think they're in a lawsuit right now, right? For carcinogens. They're known carcinogens in their products. So download the app. There's the EWG or the Think Dirty app. You can download it on your phone. And if you're looking for baby shampoo or baby wash and you're not sure about it, because if it says natural, it doesn't necessarily mean it's natural. So just, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, that's really tough. But you can download the app and scan whatever product you're thinking about buying in the store, so you don't waste your money, and it'll give you a rating from like 1 is like not toxic all the way up to 10. So consider the things that you're putting on your baby because they are being absorbed. Infancy struggles. So we'll talk a little bit about infancy. We'll talk a lot about pregnancy. Ear infections are things I see a lot in practice. In my experience, ear infections are overdiagnosed. Most ear infections are viral and self-resolving, making antibiotics useless. If the ear infection is viral, antibiotics isn't going to do anything. And the research is out there. You can search PubMed, and the ear infection research is out there that antibiotics are overprescribed and unnecessary a lot of times. An adjustment in a drop of silver can help speed the healing process. But I cannot tell you how many times I have had infants come in and their mom was like, or their parents like, I took him to the pediatrician, he has an ear infection. They put him on around antibiotics, and that was like the day of, and I checked their ears and they're clear. So it's overdiagnosed, and I see it a lot. Ear infections are common in children, but I don't think they're as common as we are led to believe that they are, because I over and over I check ears and they're clear after they've been diagnosed as infected. Colic, dairy or food intolerance and tongue ties can play a role in colic. Chiropractic care can also help. If you're breastfeeding and your baby's crying a lot, look into into how you can change your diet and help that. Reflux and GERD can also be a tongue tie or food intolerance. I've had patients that come in with colic or reflux, and I see a tongue tie, and I'm like, I'll adjust the baby, and that's going to help. Ultimately, you might need to get your tongue tie revised, and that's probably going to help more. So check for tongue tie. If you're nursing, like I said, try an elimination diet. If the baby adjusted, have for reflux, have the baby sleep on an incline if possible. Hold the baby upright 30 minutes after each feeding. If baby is breastfed, mom can try an elimination diet and probiotics. Normally with the elimination diet, dairy is probably a good place to start. Take all the dairy out and see if that makes a difference. You can get that done.
It is so hard.
But I would personally rather you try a lot of different things before you put your infant on reflux medication. That is over. I know how hard it is to have a crying, screaming baby and projectile vomit, but definitely try these other things before doing the medication. Teething. So it's been a while since I've had a teething baby, but amber teething necklaces, and then the Hirons did come back out with their teething line after they were.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's called oral pain relief now.
And it goes all the way up to like adults. It's not just for babies.
Yeah, it's painful. Does anybody else have any other tips for teething? Because
Cold.
just like cold.
Cold wash rag.
Yeah,
Or freezer.
wash rag.
Or frozen pretzel.
Lots of coffee for the mother.
My kids
Just your baby.
were terrible, terrible teethers. So it can definitely be difficult. Baby wearing. So there's different kinds of carriers. When the baby's little, like this is Olivia, I like a soft, like that, a soft carrier that's going to be snugly enclosed. The Moby has kind of a learning curve though. It's a little bit difficult. But it's a great way to.
Shirt, kangaroo shirt. It's the best. Yes.
But you want baby clothes, and it's a good way to bond and to have things to be able to walk around free hands. There's different types of carriers, but generally you want the carrier to face in towards you. So usually don't want the carriers that are facing out. And you want the carrier to have like a seat. See how Sarah is sitting, like her thigh is kind of parallel with the ground. So you want them kind of in a seated position and not just like dangling. These are my good friends, actually. She has him in like a hip carry, and that's why there's only one strap. Like her, like this hip side carry. Vitamin D supplementation, there's a lot, but pediatricians want to put breastfed babies on a vitamin D3 supplement. It's readily absorbed in infants that are breastfed, so it can appear as if they're deficient. But the best way, instead of giving the baby direct vitamin D3, is to have the mom take it and pass it along through your milk. It's going to get into your breast milk, and the baby can get vitamin D like that. Vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin, so I would be more comfortable just giving it to mom. Maybe not breastfeeding. Generally they don't recommend D3 for formula-fed babies, I guess, because it's already in their formula. But we have vitamin D supreme, and it's a great D3 option. Baby vitamin. So that's Sarah. That's our first vitamin. So we did kind of a mixture of baby vitamin, and I made homemade baby food to let them try. She was not a fan of that. Pediatricians often, this is one of my pet peeves, these next couple things are one of my things that I'm really passionate about with infants. Pediatricians often incorrectly recommend starting solids at 4 months. I remember when Noah,
4 months.
was 4 months, the pediatrician was like, all right, well, he's good to go to start solids.
Wow.
And so that day I went out and bought, this was 9 years ago, I went out and bought cereal, because that's a great first food. So I got on the La Leche League forums, and thankfully there were some educated moms that were like, you might want to rethink the cereal. And so I did. I listened and I researched, and we did not end up starting solid with Noah at 4 months. The Academy of Pediatrics, the AAP recommends starting solids at 6 months. So if a pediatrician is recommending starting solids at 4 months, they're outside of their own recommendations. Has anybody else heard that? 4 months?
I've never heard that. That's crazy.
That's with so many people. They're like, oh, we're starting solids, and pediatricians will start solids at 4 months. And not only are they starting solids at 4 months, they're starting cereal, rice
Worst
cereal.
thing. In their bottle.
Yeah.
In their bottle.
Yeah. So prior to 6 months, a baby's not normally ready to start solids. And not only is it a 6 month thing because babies are not, oh, I wake up and I'm 6 months today. That means I'm ready for food. You have certain cues you want to look out for. A baby should be able to sit up on its own. A baby should start working on the pincher grasp. So there's certain developmental cues that are like the baby's doing that you're like, okay, you might be ready to start solids. A 3 month old reaching for your cheeseburger is not the baby's ready to start solids. That's just being a baby. So good first foods are things like banana and avocado. Baby led weaning is basically like letting the baby kind of choose its food. So you put the baby, 6 month old baby in a high chair and you put some little pieces of food. And it's mostly for play initially. So you have the cut up food small enough that they're not going to choke, and they start working on pincher grasp, and they're just playing with food at this point. With Sayla, I did make, with all of them, I made baby food here and there just to let them try the taste and texture. But mostly we did baby led. It's so much easier too because you can make your dinner, and if you're having sweet potatoes, put a couple sweet potato bites on their plate and let them experience it. Honey is not safe until after the year, so you want to be careful of that. Don't introduce more than one thing at a time initially. So if baby's first food is like 4 different things and they have a reaction, you're not going to know what they're reacting to. So they recommend that you start with one thing at a time. So you know if there's going to be a reaction, you can pinpoint it. And I recommend to skip cereal completely. There's no nutritious value in any sort of rice cereal or oatmeal cereal. So go straight to the nutrient-dense food. Car seat safety. In my little. I was looking at stock photos and I was like, you know what? I have pictures of this. I'm not going to use them. I won't get in trouble. So this is one of my pet peeves. You want the first of all, you want them in a car seat. You want to put your kids in a car seat. Infants and children are safest rear facing. So I think they did up the guidelines to 2 years now. For a while, it was just 1 year rear facing, and then it's safe to turn around. But as long as possible, I think Noah's 3 here, and he's still rear facing. So as long as you can, once you have Sayla, the car is a little bit too small for them to be like that. But a lot of car seats are the time that they can rear face is a lot longer than people realize. And if their feet are going up the back of the chair, it doesn't really matter. As long as they're within the weight and height guidelines. With rear facing, you want the straps at or below their shoulders. With forward facing, you want the straps at or above their shoulders. So that's either one. You want the straps secure. So put that chest level, and you want the straps tight. You should not really pinch the straps, and winter coats are not safe with car seats. And don't move to a booster seat too soon. Olivia is 8 and just now got into a booster seat. And I say this as an example with my kids. I'm not perfect by any means, but this is my experience. So in conclusion, research and come to decisions that you and your spouse are comfortable with. Like I said, whether you want your birth all natural at home or you want a hospital birth with every intervention possible, let it be up to you. Let it be your decision. Be empowered, be informed. Find the right provider for you that's going to support your decision. When you come across struggles, reach out to the correct professional. Whether it's car seat help, breastfeeding help, or just the support of another mom, there are people out there that are there to help you. That's what they do. So find the right person to help. Give yourself grace. Parenting is hard. We won't be perfect. Any questions? That's it.
Yeah, I had a couple. Do you mind?
No.
Yeah, thank you. What is the typical cost for a midwife? Yeah.
I'm not sure in this area what she charges. I would say generally around $2,500 to $2,600
Okay.
for your entire prenatal care and delivery and everything.
This will it's at least $3,000.
Really.
And insurance does not cover it.
Yeah, insurance does not cover it, but generally a home birth is cheaper because if you're not in a hospital birth, your out of pocket could be thousands and your insurance is paying thousands.
Is it going to change when they become legalized though? To where insurance not for a while? I doubt
Yeah, I mean, in Georgia, well, I don't know, in the states that it's legal,
it. They cover
it
it.
might cover
Yeah.
it. My midwife, when I had Sarah, told me I could try and submit paperwork and have it covered, but I was like,
Did you say it's still not legal here in Alabama?
it is legal here.
Okay.
Finally, we got them legalized, but we are still working on the process of getting the board and licensure and all of that. So hopefully soon.
If you have one of those like Christian health sharing plans, then they come with a doula and a
Oh,
And what would like a doula do that like a midwife doesn't do?
so the midwife is primarily there to check fetal heart rate, make sure you're progressing. You can have checks during labor, and she's there to catch the baby. A doula is your labor coach. So during contractions, they're helping you through them. They're giving you different positions. So there's definitely different roles there. The midwife is the baby catcher and the medical professional over the delivery. She's making sure things are going right. Midwives, if you have a trained midwife, they're brilliant when it comes to birth, and that's what they do. And then the doula is just kind of there for you.
And would a doula be like a lot less expensive than a midwife?
So doulas are, I would say, 500-ish to hire them. I'm not sure.
You can't have a doula in place of a midwife.
Right, exactly. Yeah, a doula can't deliver. A doula doesn't have delivery rights. But a doula is basically like you hire than a sidekick, like your labor coach. But I don't know about price as far as
they range from like $700 to $900 right now.
it just depends on what exactly you expect of them and what they're providing for you. If that includes your postnatal appointment or how many prenatal appointments that includes, does that include birth classes and all of that. So they set their own rates.
And then, sorry, I was making a little list. If anybody else wants to ask this, okay. As far as like pain relief during, like I know so little of this, I'm just learning, but like pain relief during working with a midwife, is there like any option for natural pain relief?
No?
There's water. There's bath in a shower.
Yeah.
You're right. I have Sarah.
There's massage.
Yeah.
There's counter pressure. There's changing your breathing techniques, changing your position, and all those things help with the pain.
Yeah.
It's not an epidural. It's not going to come but it's pain. It's helpful.
Yeah, I don't know as far as like
Management techniques as opposed
medication.
to
Technique.
yeah.
But the hot bath or the hot water helps tremendously. And it's truly a mental thing. So if you are prepared mentally, generally it's not medication for them.
High pitched screaming is not effective as low mood. Oh man.
That's why it's important to read books and read birth stories and
have a doula to remind you to breathe.
exactly.
And like during like the first couple of months after birth, like what things can the father do? I mean, you talk as much as breastfeeding goes, like can it be pumped and then the father just, can the father do the feeding?
I mean, if mom is desperate for a break, by all means.
But I mean, is that advisable or should it all just?
I mean, it just depends. If the mom is having problems breastfeeding if there's issues with latch, you may not want to pump right away because you want to establish that relationship and you can have a call confusion. But if the mom is just exhausted and needs a break, let the mom pump and feed the baby a bottle. Like, you gotta do what you gotta do to survive sometimes.
Being touched out. Yeah. Or just needing a shower.
Yeah. But babies in the early days also sleep a lot. So just being support for that mom, making sure she's resting, making sure she's fed, hydrated, and taking care of women for sure don't rest enough in our culture after delivery. So I think it's important to make sure after having a baby that you're taking care of rest.